Om. Om. Om Brahmanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasyadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalam Achalam Sarvadhi Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Om Sahanavavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Om Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Hari Om, everybody. Last time we saw the verses from 19 onwards, 19 and 20, describing the realized master, a realized a spiritual seeker who has realized through karma. This is through karma he has realized. So the one he tam ahuhu panditam buddha, tam, that person is called as a pandita. Yeah, pandit is a realized master. We have heard the word pandit in chapter 2 also. Pandit, one who is realized. Yes, yeah, such a person, sarve samarambaha kama sankalpa varjita. Samaramba, undertakings, all his undertakings are without ego and egocentric desires and sankalpa. There is a purpose behind the action, but that insistence that result only must come is not there. So no matter what result comes, that attachment is given up. And in that knowledge, what knowledge is it? In the knowledge that I am not the doer of the action. So whatever result comes is also not mine. I do not have doership and joy. In that knowledge, jnana agni dagdha karmanam. That knowledge itself burns the action. Burns the action means burns the bondage of action. The rope, the binding rope of action is doership and enjoyership. When the person knows that I'm not doing and I'm not going to enjoy, that knowledge burns all the actions. So he then gets realization. Tyaktva karma phala asangaha. So the karma phala, the result of action, he's very much detached to. Detached to the result does not mean he's not acting for a result, because unless there is a result in mind, action will not happen. He is acting for the result, but he is not attached to a particular result. That has to be known. Nitya Trupto, he is ever content. So whether he gets the result or whether he doesn't get the result or whether he gets some third result only, that also is possible. Something which he never expected, he's content in it. Contentment and happiness should not be mistaken. People, contentment in being content is being happy. People don't think like that. Contentment is when you think I've got more than enough. You may not have anything. The point is, you may not have a big house or many clothes or whatever clothes you have, whatever, how much ever little money, you think, oh my God, I've got so much. That is contentment. Not like a happy person, even though he's happy, he'll say, yeah, but little more of this, little more of that. So when that little more feeling is there, that I would like little more of this, little more of that, or something like this, then there is no contentment. So contentment is more important. It is important to be content in whatever that we have, whatever position that Bhagwan has put us in. We should be content in that. We should be happy in that. Yeah, there is, I think Sant Tukaram only has said it, Thevile jaise rahave anante. Thevile anante taise rahave. Thevile ananta is the Lord, ananta, endless. However way that endless Lord has kept us in, we should stay like that. That doesn't mean we don't work for a living or not, that sort of thing. This is the highest, this thing, the bhakta, he's a devotee. But that is what contentment is. Nirashraya, without any support. The support is only of God. I told you the personification of Nirashraya is Draupadi. When she did this, she became Nirashraya. She gave up all the supports of all the people that were sitting in that hall, and she just left it up to the Lord. And that time the Lord came. So here, because this person is a karma yogi, he is not dependent on the result for happiness. He's already happy doing the karma. There only he got his happiness. So there's nothing to wait for happiness to come when the result will come. So is this thing. So even though karmani abhi pravrutto api, even though he is engaged in action, pravrutti is engagement. Even though he's engaged in action, na eva kinchit karoti saha. Saha, he does not do even a little bit of action. Means actually there is tremendous action. This reminds me of Gurudev's example of, he had given an example for Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. So the ceiling fan, that example he had given, if the ceiling fan is not working at all, it is tamas. When it is moving at a speed of say maybe 3 or 4, it is moving, but you can see the blades. That is rajas, he said. And when it is at the full speed, whatever 6, 7, whatever the full speed is, when it rotates at that full speed, you actually cannot see the blades at all. If you remember ceiling fans in India we had, and that he used to say sattva. So this kinchit kar means he's moving, his activity is at that level, but nothing is seen, nothing is bound, nothing is binding him. Okay, that is what it is. So he doesn't do action, means he's not physically withdrawal from action. There's a lot of action, but it is not binding him. So that's it. It's no demerit to him. No vasanas are being created. Then he is nirashi. I told you, asha, false hope should not be there. Hope is always there that, I'm doing this. I have to go somewhere. Hope there is no construction. Hope there is no, those hopes are reasonable. You can hope, but hoping for happiness from the world is, it's not correct hope. Like I told you, you expect sweetness from salt or saltiness from sugar, and that is not correct. That asha is not correct. That's the asha that we have. That's the hope that we have, that I will get happiness from the world or from the objects or from the result. That should not be there. Yata chittatma, his mind is absolutely under his control. Yakta sarva parigra, no hoarding at all. No. It's funny how I read this last week, and then last week I went for a program with a friend of mine. How God gives me these live examples. One of our Swamijis used to say, these live examples just come to me. And I used to think, oh, really? Now it is happening to me also. So I got a text message from this friend of mine saying, I have got many sanitizer bottles, hand sanitizers now, everybody. Would you like one? I got a text. I wrote to her, thank you for asking me, but I also have many because, now in COVID, even my eye doctor had kept free samples there. So I said, okay, free sample, take one. So I said, no, I have quite a few. So it's okay. Thank you for asking, but I don't want another one. So we go to the hall. There are free samples over there. Guess what she does? She picks up a free sample. I'm like, you just asked me. Because I looked and I just walked ahead. I thought, I don't want another bottle. Just because they're giving me free what? She went and she picked up. But I'm like, what is she doing? And then I remembered this. At least that we should not do. Have a reasonable amount of sanitizer in your house, okay? That is not hoarding. You need sanitizer. In purse also I have sanitizer, bathroom also I have sanitizer, but so that's what it is. Shariram kevalam karma, I told you. Shariram keval has two meanings. Either actions done by the body or actions done for the body. This is not action done by the body, but it is what only kevalam only. He is doing action only to sustain his body. Okay, that is what. Then even though he acts, kurvanna api apnoti na kilbisham. So because that na is double there, so that na goes with kilbisham. So even though he acts, there is no kilbisha is taint. And what is the taint of karma? Is bondage. Taint of karma is bondage. So there is no kilbisha, there is no taint, there is no sin for him. And then he lives yadricha labha santushta. Remember this word yadricha, it will come again. Whatever comes to him, he is happy. Santushta, he's santushta. Okay, I got this much. Okay. It doesn't, for the younger people, it doesn't mean that you should not work hard. Huh? You should, but whatever that hard work brings you, you must not say, I worked so hard, but I didn't get that as much as I worked hard for. That should not be there. So whatever he gets, dvandva atita, he's beyond the pairs of opposites. This world is a pair of opposites only. Being above pairs of opposites means neither one should affect him that much. So in joy, you don't go jumping up and down, and in sorrow, you don't go that much depressed. Vimatsaraha, no jealousy towards anybody else, knowing that whatever they're getting is because of their own prarabdha, their own karmas. Also knowing that, yeah, I see one aspect of this person. That's for us, I see one aspect of this person's life. Oh, he got this, whatever, in one field. What about the other fields? He may not have as much as I have. So never be jealous of any, because always there'll be more and less in all of us. Like we have more of somebody else or less or whatever. It doesn't matter. Sama siddha, siddha asiddha, whatever he gets, result of action, or if he doesn't get his sama, equanimous. Samata is the thread of Bhagavad Gita. Like thread runs, this samata runs through all the chapters. Everywhere Bhagavan will say remains sama, because in 9th chapter he says nirdosham hi samam brahma. Brahma, that Brahman is because you know why we keep saying, why did God do this to me? Why did God do this? Like when happiness comes, we don't say, why did God do that? Why did God give me this lottery? Nobody says that. But the minute something goes wrong, then immediately why? So that's why Bhagwan there, he says, nirdosh, he's not doing it. And he's sama. He's equanimous. So if we want to become like Brahman, we must become sama. And the other thing is the antidote for mamata, which was the problem of Arjun, was mamata, attachment. Samata. Mata is buddhi, intellect. So mama, my, because that's what he said, na, my grandfather and my guru and my this and my that. For that, we have to become sa. The ma has to be converted into sa, mata remaining the same. So sama siddha sadha cha kratvapi na nibad. Even though he acts, he keeps on acting, the realized master, but he doesn't get bound. Now, the next 9 stanzas Gurudev has written. The following 9 stanzas are declared by the Lord to explain the divine motive and attitude with which the men of perfection act in the world. See, action. Gata sangasya muktasya jnanavastita chetasaha yajnaya charata karma samagram praviliyate. Of one who is devoid of attachment, who is liberated, whose mind is established in knowledge, who acts for the sake of sacrifice, all this action is dissolved. So gata gone, sangasya, attachment. From whom attachment is gone? Attachment for what? Attachment for karma and its results. Attachment for karma is, you know what? Only if I like this work, so I will do this work, and I do not like that work, so I will not do that work. That is attachment to karma. What is meaning karma? Means I don't like, I remember it. My sister-in-law said, I don't like kneading the dough, so I don't like making chapatis. But if it is your job as the cook, then you have to make it. So that is attachment to karma. A lot of people do that, even in the mission. Like if you like the person, then you help. If you don't like the person, you don't. Even that person needs help. That should not be there. Whatever is your duty. That's why the first thing of converting karma into karma yoga is a sense of duty. This duty sense will take you above likes and dislikes. So if it is your duty to do something, you do it. Or like Gurudev said, whatever you have to do, superimpose the idea of duty on it. Or another thing which Gurudev has said very beautifully, learn to like what is your duty. Come to like it. So you're like, oh, great. Okay, I have to do this and I like to do it and no problem. And then what happens is there is joy in the doing itself. So when there is joy in the doing itself, you got the happiness for which you were doing the action. So you're not that much dependent on the result. So you become Gata Sangasya towards the result also. So from whom so there is no attachment to karma, and therefore there is no attachment to result either. This realized master is asked to come and do something, speak somewhere, talk to somebody. And okay, fine, no problem. It's my duty. I'll do it. That's it. No, I don't like that person. Why should I advise that person? It's not like that. Okay, Gata Sangasya. Muktasya. So he is free. We have those anxieties. What will I do if I don't like this? For students, you should study the whole portion. Otherwise, then there is fear. What if they ask me the question which I'm not studying? Then there is no freedom, because that fear is there. Oh my God, I didn't study that part. What sometimes way back, I used to something, I used to think, oh my God, I hope this doctor has studied this part of the body. I would think, oh my God, what do you say? This thing I never studied in medical school, then what? So it shouldn't be like that. So Muktasya, what happens is when you become Gata Sangasya, you already become Muktasya. Fear is caused by attachment. We've seen that. Vita, Raga, Bhaya, Krodha. We've seen that. Raga is there, attachment is there. That's why only fear comes. And it binds. Fear then binds. Did you have a question, Nitya?
Just a comment, Jayaji, that even if the doctor has studied, it's only the grace of the Lord that will bring it to memory and bring the competence.
True. Oh my God, that is real funny. Anyway, Muktasya. So he's Mukta. Jnana Vastita Chetasaha. His mind is established. Why is he Gata Sangasya and Mukta? Because his mind is established in the knowledge. Here the knowledge is, I am not the doer, I am not the enjoyer. Because this portion is about karma, that is the knowledge. That knowledge will take you beyond to the supreme reality. So Jnana Vastita Chetas is the intellect, mind intellect. So that Chetas is established in the knowledge. I am not the doer, because there is no attachment to the karma. I am not the enjoyer, no attachment to the result. So he's free. Muktasya, he's free. He's free. Yajnaya acharata. Acharata, doing. Even though he's doing, yajna is work here. Or sacrifice. So the work is called yajna. I told you one meaning of yajna is sacrifice. So when the work is done for the good of the totality and not just for me, myself, my ego is there and this is what I want or my family wants, and that's the only thing that I'm working for. That's why even householders, when we earn now, it shouldn't. That's why it is said that, see, we have to support the other three ashramas. So it shouldn't be like I'm only earning for me and my family. That's it. Nothing else. It shouldn't be like that. It should be, let me earn for my family also first, always, and then may I have some little bit extra to help others. That should be the attitude. So even though he does action as yajna, all his actions are yajnas. Now remember this word yajna, because now this is yajna word is now going to come in the next 9 stanzas. What type of different yajnas these people do, that is what it's going to come. Karma samagram praviliyate. Praviliyate, dissolved. Prakarshena viliyate. Prakarshena, very well. What is dissolved? Karma, not physically karma going away anywhere, but the nature of karma, which is to bind, is not now effect. It is dissolved. That nature of binding, the karma, the bondage of karma is dissolved. That is how this is. Karma samagram. In its totality, this karma is now not binding him at all. Okay. Next verse is very important, and I'm sure most of you know this, have this memorized. This verse is chanted before meals. 15 chapters chanted, but 15 chapters takes 5 minutes. So the trick, like what I do is in the ashram, every single meal there would be 4 or 5 brahmacharinis assigned. We were assigned a week. So these 5 people would go stand aside and they would start chanting, and the whole 15 chapter. And while chanting, other people will go and take food, but nobody will start eating until that whole 15 chapter is over. And at the end of the 15 chapter, we would chant this. So at home, this is a good mantra to chant just before your meals, because it takes only like 2 seconds. 2 seconds, 3 seconds. The whole chapter, you can either chant it takes 5 minutes only. So you can chant it wherever, in your shower or outside or whatever, because what happens is when you're very hungry, then to chant the whole 15 chapter is difficult, let me tell you. If you're real, or if you're in a rush, you could be in a rush, you have a work day. This is very easy. This takes only 2 seconds. Brahmarpanam Brahma Havihi Brahmagnau Brahmanahutam Brahmaiva Tena Gantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhina. Brahman is the oblation. Brahman is the clarified butter, etc., constituting the offerings. By Brahman is the oblation poured into the fire of Brahman. Brahman verily shall be reached by him who always sees Brahman in all actions. The first and very important point about this verse to be remembered is this is knowledge, jnana. This is not bhakti. This is not superimposition. This is not deliberate superimposition. Okay? This is actual knowledge. See, I have told you about what is deliberate superimposition. Deliberate superimposition is used in bhakti. It is required. Deliberate superimposition is required to reach the truth. It is required. It's a means. And the best thing is when you look at a black stone and you say it is Lord Shiva. You know, the Shivlinga, you look at it and you say, this is Lord Shiva. You look at that for Vishnu, you look at that and then you say, there's another stone. The name is not coming. Anyway, so that is Vishnu. That is deliberate superimposition that is required in that path. But this verse should not be understood that this person is superimposing Brahman on the ladle. What is he saying? Brahman is, so imagine a yajna. What is a yajna? You know, there is the fire thing, and then there is a ladle with which all the ghee or some little sticks of wood, samhita, they are offered, right? And then there is prasad, which is then eaten. And there is a person sitting, yajman, fire is there, there is a priest who's chanting the mantras. So the mantras are being offered. Then the yajman is holding a spoon, and with that spoon, he takes ghee, or with his hands, he's using his hand to put samhita. Everybody is very familiar with this? Okay. Now what is being said here? Brahman is the oblation is what? Ghee. Which is oblation here, because he has already also said Brahman is the clarified butter. Oblation is the samhita, you know, the little pieces of wood or grain they offer, some depending on what the yajna is for. You could be offering grains, you could be offering rice, whatever. So whatever you're offering. Okay. So he says Brahman is the oblation. Now, this person who is saying this is a realized master. He is not superimposing that this ladle, I superimpose that this ladle. It is not like this black stone is Lord Shiva. It is not like that. That is a very, very important. This chapter is about knowledge. It is not about bhakti. So he actually, you know, he knows. I'm not even going to say he thinks. He knows that this oblation that I'm offering is Brahman only. He knows that this is clarified butter that I'm offering. Ghee is one very essential part of every yajna. Is nothing but Brahman. So he has recognized that the self in me is the self in all. Everything is Brahman alone. He has recognized it. So this is jnana. This is knowledge. Constitution by Brahman is the oblation. So who is giving putting the oblation? Me. I am also Brahman. He knows that. It is not a superimposition. It is not ego. It is not I am doing. No, no, no. It is not Jiva talking. He knows that Brahman only is offering. By Brahman is the oblation. Poured into the fire. What is the fire? Is it different from me? No, it is Brahman alone. Fire also is Brahman. Brahman verily shall be reached by him who always sees Brahman in all actions. So the vision of this person, and for us, that is the vision of oneness that is given. Now see the oneness, the one who is offering is Brahman. To whom that is offered means fire is Brahman. Okay, what is being offered? Ghee is being offered. Oblations, that is also Brahman. How is it being offered? With a ladle or with my hands? That also is Brahman. So everything is Brahman. This is knowledge. This is not bhakti. This is not deliberate superimposition. This is not a superimposition at all. This person knows this. Now, why is this verse being said before food? So when we eat food, that also should be done as a yajna. Okay. Where is the fire? The digestive fire is inside. So who is the digestive fire? Brahman. In chapter 15, therefore, Bhagavan said, Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva. Aham Vaishva, I have become the digestive fire. So this point we should have in mind. So fire inside is Brahman. Okay. Who is eating? The one who is eating is Brahman. Food. Then what oblation am I offering? The food that I eat, whatever, rice, whatever, that is also Brahman only. Now, how am I eating? With my hand, with a spoon or with my hand, with a fork? I'm using my hands to eat. So the hand is also Brahman. Everything is Brahman. Now, if you have this idea in your mind, see the practical implication of this. Will you put anything wrong in your stomach if you really think that there is Brahman sitting inside your stomach? Will you overeat? Brahman is digesting. I should make him work that much? Overeating? Okay, anything wrong which should not be eaten, right? Will you do that? If you think, that's why this verse is very important, and it is very important to remember that this is knowledge. This is another one of the this chapter has got few. I told you the heart is 18. There's no doubt about that. But then there is yada hi dharmasya also, and this one also very important. Okay, and this is the attitude of a realized master. So as a seeker, we must remember this. So when we say this verse, when the plate of the food is there, when we say that verse, all our Swamijis will come and say, they'll say this, or we must say actually how simple this verse is, and 2 seconds. So actually very recently, when I say this, when I take my medication also, now I'm saying this Brahma because it's an intake, right? So with my prescribed medication which I have to take, like Brahmarpanam, Brahmavi, Brahmagno, Brahmanautam, Brahmaivaten, Gantamyam, Brahma Karma, Samadhina. Full Brahman. Because remember, medication also is Brahman. There is nothing which is not Brahman in this world. No matter what but when you have that feeling that within the fire, the digestive fire is Brahman, then don't offer something which should not be offered to Brahman. Okay, it's that way a simple verse, but it has a very deep meaning. All right. So the another meaning of this, and I have a few notes here. This must be from some yajna. What is to be understood is PC is pure consciousness behind the equipment. So whatever is making the hand move, that realization that it is because of Brahman that my hand can move. It is because of Brahman that I can light the fire. It is because of Brahman that I can offer oblation. It is because of Brahman that oblation I have. Remember, it is because of God. Whatever that I have is grace of God. Right? So Brahmanautam, Brahmaivatena Gantavyam, Brahma Karma. So how many of you have this by hearted, memorized? Very good, very good, very good. Those who have, yeah, yeah, you must. Tripti, don't tell me. You have, huh? You're a teacher, Balvi a teacher, otherwise you can't teach. And even children should be taught this because it is not that difficult. And say whenever breakfast, lunch, dinner, 3 meals you eat or whatever. Okay. Now start from 25 onwards, all the various type of what Bhagwan is going to do, he's going to give all these various type of yajnas, and then finally he's going to come to 24 and 25 and say that these are the most superior ones to be done. And superior here means subtle. Subtle means more difficult. That's what he's going to say, because now he's going to start. So now he starts. Daivameva pare yajñam yogina paryupasate brahmagnava pare yajñam yajnenaivopajuhvati. Some yogis perform sacrifice to devas alone, deva yajna, while others offer sacrifice only as sacrifice by the self in the fire of Brahman, Brahma yajna. So point number one, there are two yajnas that are given, Deva yajna in the first line, Brahma yajna in the second line. Among these two, line number one is grosser and line number two is subtle. So Deva yajna is gross and Brahma yajna is subtle. Deva yajna is to the outside deities. When I pray for rain, when I pray for a child, when I pray for prosperity, money, whatever, that also is sacrifice. They are sacrificing things because there are rules, for all the rituals in Karma Kanda, there are rules. You have to be, this age, you have to be married, you have to have, especially what has to be offered into the yajna, how that yajna kunda is to be done, made, the bricks, that also there are rules. That also there are rules. And what should be offered in some of this, like only in silver pot you should offer milk, only in gold pot you should offer this, you should offer that. Some like you need water from all 5 rivers, holy rivers. So there are a lot of rules, but it is external because it is being done for an external result. That's why it is gross. In the higher sense, in the subtler sense of this one, what it is now. So the first one is rituals. That's why it's gross. And second, Brahma yajna is what is being said here. A sacrifice only as sacrifice. So what is being sacrificed in Brahma? And Brahma yajna here is Brahman. That Brahma is Brahman. So you are sacrificing your lower self, your ego, in the higher self. So it is subtle and it is not for any external result. All the senses to be controlled or merged into the mind, and then the mind surrendered to, because ego is in the mind intellect stuff, which we call as the lower self, or which Gurudev has called as the small I. So this Brahma yajna is when the small I is sacrificed, offered as an oblation into the big I. Okay, that's why it is subtler, because there is nothing, you don't need outside fire and water and milk and silver pot, gold, nothing is required. Nothing is, that's why it is difficult. There is no, what external result will you get? By offering your ego into Brahman, you're not going to get prosperity outside, or child or spouse or house or promotion, nothing. So, and that is not the idea. That is not that. So this second line Bhagwan will say is the most superior, the most subtler and the best. He will say at the end. Now he's going to go on into other yajnas. So this is, so why is this Daiva Yajna there? Because see, the Karma Kandi people, this I've told you also before, the Karma Kandi people did these Daiva Yajnas for external results. In Bhagavad also, we see that the Krishna's parents, they wanted rain, so they were praying to Indra. That is exactly this Daiva Yajna. What Bhagavan Shankaracharya says, and what actually is the purpose of that external gross yajna, which is easy. Anything that is gross is easy. So the karma kanda should be done, the karma outside should be done only to purify the mind. Karma to be converted, karma yoga, why? Purification of mind. Now, once your mind is purified, the second line will become easier. The second yajna will become easier when the mind is highly purified. Okay, so that should be the purpose. That should be the purpose for spiritual seekers. Therefore, we say, because now nobody does yajna that way, like physical, fire and offering oblations, but we are working day and night. So convert that karma into karma yoga, that external karma that we are doing today, our job, our work, taking care of family, whatever work that we are doing, convert it into karma yoga. Just don't do it for results alone. Then it becomes a daiva yajna, gross. So you're doing it for external result. You will get the external result. The whole purpose of study is to understand that external result will come. Work for the purity of mind. What it is when you work hard with purity of mind in this thing, law of karma will give you the external result. But if you're not bothered about getting purity of mind and you're only bothered about the external result, only external result you will get, but you will not get purity. And once your mind is purified, then this Brahma Yajna will become easier. Surrendering the ego into the pure self will become easier. It is more subtler, it is required. That is the way to realization. So this through karma now you are getting realized by getting the knowledge. Now the next one. Shrotra dinindriyanya Shotra dinindriyanyanne sanyamagnishu juvati shabda din vishayan anne indriyagnishu juvati. Some again offer hearing and other senses as sacrifice in the fires of restraint. Others offer sound and other objects of sense as sacrifice in the fires of the senses. Again, there are two yajnas here. The first line here is subtle, is the subtler one. The second line is the grosser one. Okay, so what is being said in the first? Kshotra indriyanya anne means all the indriyas. Only one word I've always told you. If just one sense organ is mentioned, you have to understand that all five senses are included in that one. So here kshotra means hearing is included, but it includes seeing, smelling, touching, tasting. All other four are included. Now what is being done? Okay, now this is not a physical eye and a physical this thing, the faculty of hearing. So the subtle faculty of hearing is hearing or seeing is subtle. Seeing, it's an easier example. I've told you this before also. There is a fleshy eye and a person might have a perfectly fleshy eyes, but he may not have the faculty of seeing, right? So you can't tell. So that faculty of seeing, the faculty of hearing, the faculty of smelling, that is what is meant by the first word here. Not the physical ear to be offered somewhere or the physical eye, the faculty. So they are subtle. All the faculties are subtle. You cannot see. You cannot tell by looking at the eyes of some person how strong his eyes are or whether he can't see at all, right? So that faculty is now offered in the Agni, in the fire of Sanyamya, control. Control. So that means all the senses are now controlled. The senses are, the king of the senses is the mind. Okay. So, but what is meant by all the senses are offered? Actually, the mind is offered because the mind is controlling the senses. Should be controlling the senses. Now, how is this? This is a form of meditation. This is not an external yajna. The previous verse, Daiva Yajna, what we saw, is an external physical yajna. So externally, you will see the fire and you will offer, etc. Here, there is nothing external. Even the fleshy eye is not concerned. Faculty of seeing, all the faculties. So it's the mind. The last three stages of Ashtanga Yoga, this is what it is. What are the last three stages? Dharana, four actually. Dharana, no, three. Dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. This first line is, that's where the person is at the level of dharana. So first there is yama, niyama, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. This is the Ashtanga Yoga. The first line, the person who is doing the first line is at the stage of dharana. So he has mastered yama, niyama, pranayama, and pratyahara is mastered. What is dharana? Dharana is the practice of keeping the mind at one spot. It's a practice of keeping, but that practice is so difficult because if your mind is scattered and in pieces, it will always be running in all directions. So this person who is doing line 1 is at stage of dharana. From dharana, he goes to dhyana. Dharana is practice. Dharana is ability to hold the mind there at one thought for a long period of time. That is the difference between dharana and dhyana. Okay. And when the person is capable of holding his mind, dhyana, is capable of doing dhyana for long periods of time, he will go into samadhi. And in samadhi, there is savikalpa samadhi and nirvikalpa samadhi. So savikalpa is where he still harbors the thought, I am Brahman. I am Brahman. So there is an I and there is Brahman. But the mind is now so purified and so much practice that constantly he can keep the mind on the thought, I am Brahman. He can. Which is from savikalpa. Vikalpa is thought. So there is a thought, I am Brahman, but even to keep a mind, even in our regular life, to keep the mind on one thought is so difficult. You don't even know when the mind just slips and runs off. That's my experience. It's very, very difficult. The one practice that I'm doing, which I'll share with you, is close your eyes and try to focus the mind on a spot here, because that's also from Bhagavad Gita only, not that it's my idea. It's in chapter 6, Bhagavan says, for meditation, close your eyes. Sometimes I feel like I'm going cross-eyed, but focus it here. So give the mind is like a monkey. So give it something to hold on to. That is first practice. I am Brahman is way away. But if you can keep, even from there, the mind slips. But that is one thing. Okay. So coming back here. So what is this Sanyama control? So the mind is controlled because the mind is the king of the senses. So mind, dharana, dhyana, and then samadhi. From nirvikalpa samadhi, then this person, when he remains in nirvikalpa samadhi for a long period of time, he will go into savikalpa samadhi. Those of you who were in the Friday class, I told you Brahma vid varishtham. Nirvikalpa is Brahma vid varishtham. The fourth, and it's not very easy. Huh? Today you did savikalpa, tomorrow you'll be, it's not like that. It's many, many lives, even maybe years, maybe whatever. But this is what this means. Now, the mind has got 5 states. The first one is kshipta. It is called kshipta. Kshipta means the mind is very rajasic. So it is wandering. So in the seat, this is meditation. These are meditation. So you're sitting for meditation, but the mind is really, going all over the place. That's why that practice of holding the mind, even when we do any kind of chanting, the mind wanders. So even while chanting, whatever that you chant, if you hold your close your eyes and hold the mind there, it'll help with the chanting also. So first is kshipta. Next is muda. Muda is when you sit for meditation, the mind will go to sleep. So it's tamas, it's complete tamas. Then the third stage is vikshipta of the mind. This is how the mind progresses. This is how Patanjali, sage Maharshi Patanjali has given this. So there is kshipta where the mind is agitated. There is muda where it goes to sleep. These two people can never meditate. People where the mind is so much agitated or is going to sleep, no meditation possible. Third, vikshipta is where the mind there is some sattva in the mind. So at some points, at some time at least, you can hold the mind for some time. Then it runs. Then you bring it back. Then it runs again. You bring it back. So this sort of thing. But at least for some time, the mind is held there. That is vikshipta. Next is ekagra. So ekagra is where there is a lot of sattva. I've told you that out of the three, nothing goes to zero, but at certain points, therefore for meditation, they recommend first thing in the morning when the mind is very fresh, mind is alert, body is well rested so that the body is not tired and, ache here, ache there. Meditation just before going to bed is not recommended because you're going into a tamasic state and the mind is going to fall asleep when you meditate. That's why. So this ekagra chitta, ekagra mind is where you will be able to hold the mind for long periods of time. And from ekagra, it will go into nirodha. The line 1 is nirodha. This is the final stage of the mind. Niruddha. Niruddha means complete withdrawal into it. There. So niruddha is dhyana. Dhyana. Up to ekagra is dharana. Your ekagra is dharana actually, because before that it is not even dharana. It is not even practice. The mind is constantly running. The mind is falling asleep, and very little time it is being held at one place. But when you come to ekagra, you are at the stage of dharana, because that's where the practice now actually begins. Because there is periods of time when the mind is very sattvic, predominantly sattvic, so it can be held at one place. It is not running away anywhere and it is not falling asleep. Meditation is not sleep. That is sleep, deep sleep. That is not meditation. Meditation requires a very, very alert mind. So niruddha bhumi, these are called bhumis of the mind. Kshipta bhumi, mudha bhumi, vikshipta bhumi, ekagra bhumi, and then niruddha bhumi is line 1. That is line 1. So this is a meditation. There's nothing to be doing. So that is a yajna too. That's why I told Raman Maharshi says the greatest yajna is to think. That is the greatest sacrifice that one can give. That is the subtle. Now the next one, once this person has attained this niruddha bhumi, okay, where his mind, where all the faculties of his senses are controlled in the mind, and the mind is now sacrificed into into the fire of control. So the mind is so much self-controlled. Then the second line. So then what happens is this person can go out in the world and he can accept all the 5 sense objects. This is what the second one is saying. What he's doing now, second line, the sense objects such as sound, etc., in the fire of the senses, he takes them because they are not affecting him, because his mind is already offered into the fire of control. So this is gross. The second line is gross because all the objects are outside. Okay, so he sees whatever color and form comes, he sees, he's moving about in the world. A realized master, I told you, not all realized masters go and sit in caves or on the mountains. They are moving in the world. So if they're moving, if eyes are open, they will see color and form. Nose will smell. Food is given, food will be tasted. Sounds will be heard. If he touches something, he will know this is soft, this is hard, whatever sense comes to him, he offers them to the senses. Because he is not worried. He's not going to get carried away with it. So as spiritual seekers, we start with the second line. We have to start with the gross practice. If we want to do, we have to start with the second line. So what we do, what is practice of second line is we will see the objects, but don't let it affect you. You will see, you will taste, you will smell, you will hear. It should not breed into when is this going to happen again. That's what happens to us. Most common example is movie, because I go for movie, I see, I'm like, okay, that's my next movie. But it's not bothering me. So don't think that it is, and if I don't say, I don't see. But that is what is to be avoided. That is the practice that we should put in. This is for the real, this first line means he is completely, the mind, yata chittatma, we heard, the mind is completely under his control. It doesn't matter what he is now going to see or hear or taste or smell or touch, because it's not going to affect him. The mind is completely, our mind is not under our control. That's why when we see something, either we get upset or we feel happy, or we hear something or we taste something or touch something, we comment. The very, very gross thing is to stop commenting. Should never comment. Oh, this is so good. This is so not so nice. Food or whatever, we should not never comment on anything. You look so nice today. Even those type of, see, Swamiji's never make those comments. They never, right? So, because you're giving importance to something, it should not be given. Because by the same token, then if you say, oh, today you're not looking nice, then that person is going to be very unhappy. So better not say anything. That's why. Any questions? Okay. All okay? Okay. So let's go to the next one. सर्वाणीन्द्रिय कर्माणि प्राणकर्माणि चापरे आत्मसंयम योगाग्नौ जुह्वति ज्ञानदीपिते. Others, again, these are these different types of people that are doing these different yajnas. Okay, this is what it is. There are few others. Others again sacrifice all the functions of the senses and the functions of the breath in the fire of yoga, of self-restraint, kindled by knowledge. This is again another meditation which is done. So when we prana karmani chapa, pranas, functions of the senses and the prana, breath, vital energy, this is pranayama. What pranayama is control of the breath. Okay. So when we, okay, so when we say, we have heard two words, shama and dhamma. So when the pranas and the actions are now being offered into the fire of self-restraint, again, this is Atma Sanyama Yogagna. So Atma Sanyama Yoga means Sanyama control. Atma here is Atma. Here is Atma again, Brahman. So in that fire is offered the pranas, because of which actions are happening. Pranas are the Rajasic aspect of the, of the five elements. They've come from the Rajasic aspect. So pranas and this thing. So it's a control of the pranas. So pranayama. Now the complicated pranayama has got these three things, the kumbhaka, rechaka, and puraka. There are these three things. So you take the breath in, now you hold it inside for a while, and then you let go. And pranayama should never be done on your own. You must have a guru to teach you that. Okay, that is what pranayama. So you close one nostril, you take breath in, and then you hold it in for, that is kumbhaka, and then you open the other nostril, and then you let the breath out. But it is a science never to be done alone, or never to be done reading books. This is what it says. So let me just do this. It's very dangerous. It should not be done. So the simple method that Bhagavan Raman Maharshi has given is that just observe your breath. Just observe in the seat of meditation, observe the breath going in, observe the breath going out, no holding of nostrils, nothing like that. Let the breath go in, hold it in there for some time, and then, so what he's trying to do, what he's trying to say there, this is for spiritual seekers, those who have done a practice of pranayama and all, that's fine. And the reason that is done is to go into dharana and dhyana and then samadhi. Okay. So what we can do is concentrate the mind on the pranas. And the reason he says that when you control your pranas, your breath, the mind comes under control, because the mind and the pranas are like two branches of the same tree. That's how they are. What is the stem? What is the common thing for them is Atma, Brahman. So when when there is a fruit tree and one branch is closer to you, if you shake that branch, the other branch also shakes. And if there is a fruit, that other fruit will fall, because all the branches are connected to that main stem. So that is the comparison. The mind is one branch, the pranas are one branch. They are both connected to the stem of Atma, Brahman. So when you control one, the other one will, if you don't shake one, the other one will not shake either. And that's why we find, see a person who is in deep sleep, watch his breath, how calm it is. Because the mind is calm, breath will be calm. Or see a person who is very angry. Won't the breath go fast? Right? Or a person who is crying. Right? Suppose if a person is very suddenly hears something, this thing, and starts crying bitterly, like very this thing, then see how he can't speak then, right? That's what tells us that there is a connection between the pranas and the mind. So pranayama is a control of breath, but pranayama, which is the very official pranayama, should not be done without the guidance of a guru. But pranayama is given by Bhagavan Raman Maharshi, which is very, very easy. You just observe your breath. And that way the mind also will become calm. This is what he's saying here. This is what people do. And when the pranas are offered, because action is coming out only out of prana only, na? Pranas are the one that are all the action, even inside digestion, circulation, all these things are going on because of the prana vayu in our body. So outside also we need pranas to act, and inside involuntary actions like circulation and all, we don't have to do anything. Pranas are doing it for us. So when you're controlling the pranas, all actions come under control. That is what this is. Sarva in the which fire is here, because every yajna has to have some fire. Before we saw in the fire of Brahman, right? So this here also, it's Atma Sanyama Yoga. So the mind is now under complete control. And then Jnana Deepite, because of knowledge, this has happened. And now all the pranas are being offered into that Atma Sanyama Yajna. All the yajnas you will see, there is a fire and there is offering. What is being offered is now being told. Some people are offering the mind into there. Some people are offering the objects outside are being offered. That's what we're doing, right? Even Daiva Yajna, I told you, senses are the gods. So we are feeding all the senses for our happiness. And then now here the pranas are being offered. So these are all meditations. Okay. Any questions? So, yes.
I was mulling on what you started off the class with, Jayaji, about contentment. I mean, contentment with respect to objects and things is somewhat easy. It's easier to do. I was just thinking, in your day-to-day life, there's always, almost every day, there's some sort of challenge being offered, right? And I understand the part where you need to be equanimous, you don't get agitated, this and that. But then we will still need to go and fix what's going on and stuff. I'll just take the example of an employee maybe that's making like 10 mistakes, in a day or something.
Yeah.
I will have to fix it and stuff. But how can I be content with that situation? While still, mentally keeping my equanimity, still fixing what's going on in the day, but I can't be content, right? So there's a bit of a discrepancy for me there.
Yeah. No. See, when you openly know, when you very surely know that a mistake is being made, you cannot be content with that mistake. You need to go correct it. You need to go tell the person that is whatever is happening is not correct, and this is how it should be done. When we say content with what you have, that is one aspect of it. Now, if it is your employee and you cannot be content, you need to correct that. Like, okay, I'm content with my house, but if I see some rat droppings or something, I'm not going to be content with my house. Something not right, or there is a leak, or there is in the drain, the water is not draining properly. I have to go fix it. Okay, you try and fix it, and ultimate fix, if it is to fire the employee, then you'll have to fire the employee, or then or then you can, not you can, but you may have to be happy with he's improved, but not to my standard. Because then there is a difference, right? Because if I would have done this, I would have done it this way, but this person is doing it this way, and that way is not as per my standards. That's what we always, yeah, there you'll have to make a compromise.
An acceptance of what I am not able to change.
Yes, because you cannot change that person. You can guide, you can tell, you can show him how it is to be done. Take time to show, look, this is where you're making the mistake, and this is, but sometimes, you know, when it comes to, if it is doing something physical, you can help the person to do it. But if it is a mind thing, right, in the mind, if the person is very being rude to people or something like that, it's difficult to change, right? So that's where the challenges come. No, I understand. But and then we were talking about a realized master also, so we are not at that stage. But at least with regard to, you know, our money, our house, our clothes, our car, at least let's be content with that. Yes, Narayanji, did you have a question? You have to
see, as I was a very small boy, and when I had the bread ceremony, from that time on, the pranayama was ingrained growing up. So at this stage, I know there's a difference between karma, you know, done as upasana, and whereas against nowadays with the meditation, I feel there is this kind of different, because there I was asked to focus only by a teacher or the Pandit to focus only on the breath.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to see the distinction between the two.
No. Okay. So see, when you're focusing on the breath, you're trying to bring the breath under control.
That's
and
right.
Bringing the breath under control means bringing the mind under control. So when you have mastered bringing the mind under control, then you will actually start meditating. Meditation is higher than pranayama. Pranayama is the practice. That's why I told you, even in that verse, he's at the stage of dharana already, which means pranayama has been perfected. So keep doing, if you've been taught and if you've been doing since your childhood, nothing like it, keep doing it. It will give you purity of mind. Control, purity in the form of control. Your mind will be under control. Then you'll be able to fix it on one spot. Aham Brahmasmi. That spot you'll be able to fix the mind in. That is what is required. The mind, which is anekagra, it is called. Anekagra means in many different directions it is running. We have to make it ekagra, at least in the seat of meditation. Throughout the day, we are multitasking, all of us, and we do many things. But in the seat of meditation, then try to focus only on one thing and continue with your pranayama. Okay?